My name is Nicole Chalet, and I'm the president of the Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society, also known as the AHA Society. And we are the nonprofit partners to Hamilton Grange National Memorial, operated by the National Park Service, which maintains the Hamilton family home, which was built in 1800 and that stands behind me today. We are particularly gathered here today to honor the 246th anniversary of the Hearts of Oak Militia Company, of which Alexander Hamilton was a member when the Revolutionary War broke out. And we are also commemorating not only the history of the original organization, but also the present-day reenactment group, the Hearts of Oak, for their incredible dedication and service to interpreting this important part of history. But before we have our presentation, I would first like to introduce Eric Lychek, who will talk a little bit more about the history of the group and about the uniforms and give us a special performance. Eric?
Hello, my name is Eric Lychek, and I'm the leader of the Hearts of Oak Militia Company. What we did is we recreated the militia company, which was Alexander Hamilton's first military experience. We researched the uniforms and the military career of Hamilton, as well as other members of the militia company, and built a modern-day representation of how the actual unit would have looked. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the history of Alexander Hamilton's militia company. He actually was a private in this company. Notable people include Frederick J, who was a brother of John J, as well as a member of the Roosevelt family. So the men that served in this militia company were actually more like educated gentlemen of New York City during that time period. And there were multiple militia companies, each one having its own name. The top militia company was the Grenadier Company, and there were actually 2 battalions that had several companies each within it. So New York City had 2 uniformed battalions, as well as other battalions of ununiformed soldiers who were just the average citizen of the day that lived in Manhattan. So a little bit about the action of the Hearts of Oak. Hearts of Oak was engaged in a raid on the Battery, which was Fort George at the time, which is near the World Financial Center of today and the Museum of the American Indian. And interestingly, Hamilton was given the task of having to bring cannons up Broadway. So him, a light infantry company, and also Lamb's Artillery, so the Hearts of Oak, a light infantry company, and Lamb's Artillery were the 3 units that were tasked to go to the Battery and under fire from the HMS Asia valiantly brought up close to 2 dozen cannons, which then went up to what is today City Hall Park, but back at that time was the City Green. An anecdote is from Hercules Mulligan, friend of Alexander Hamilton, and this really relates Hamilton's coolness under fire and really took the notice of the higher ranking officers, which helped him become promoted. While he was taking one of the cannons, he gave his musket to Hercules Mulligan and took the rope of the cannon and brought it up Broadway. He then came back where he saw Hercules Mulligan and said, "Where is my musket?" and said, "Oh, I left it at Fort George at the Battery." So Hamilton, under fire, retrieved his musket and said that it was like the HMS Asia wasn't firing upon the city, like it wasn't there at all. So that was the coolness and the bravery that Hamilton exhibited during this tactic. I'd like to talk a little also about why they're called the Hearts of Oak. One conjecture of that is this. Originally, the company was called the Corsicans. Now, Corsica was it was taken over by the French, and it was a crisis in the British Empire because the British were supporting Corsica and its leader, Pascal Paoli. Paoli was a hero to particularly the Whigs in the British-speaking world because of his ideals of a republic and of democracy. But Corsica fell a little bit before the time of the American Revolution. So in honor of Pascal Paoli, the Corsican military commander, we believe that they named the company the Corsicans. But after a while, the company still had essentially the same officers. So the company essentially had the same officers, but they changed the name to Hearts of Oak. Now, Hearts of Oak is a very British tune. Well, it's a tune. It's a naval song. I'll play it for you in a second. But what we think the correlation between the Hearts of Oak and the Corsicans is this. Pascal Paoli was known to like the song Hearts of Oak, was his favorite song. Boswell, who was the biographer of Samuel Johnson, writes about how he translated the song Hearts of Oak into an Italian for Pascal Paoli. In America, it was also changed to the Liberty Song. So around 1770, the Hearts of Oak had new lyrics about, not rebellion, but about fighting against what they would consider British tyranny at the time. Anyway, I'll play you the song Hearts of Oak, also known as the Liberty Song, on my fife, which is a military instrument much like a modern-day piccolo or flute. So we're going to talk a little bit about the uniform that Alexander Hamilton and the other members of the Hearts of Oak Militia Company wore back in the year 1775. We'll first start with the hat. And the hat has two aspects about it which we'll talk a little bit about. The first is the badge, which says Hearts of Oak. The badge was actually recovered at the Battle of Long Island by a German officer and is now in Marburg, Germany. So the war trophy taken by one of the Germans that fought against the Hearts of Oak at the battle. It survives today, so we had two members of our group actually recreate it by cutting it out of tin and then using oil paints and recreating how it would actually look with the same artistic expression used by the artists of the time, the same shape, size, everything. The other thing that is very noteworthy is it says liberty or death. Now you may know that liberty or death was coined by Patrick Henry. But the idea of liberty is actually comes from the Roman culture, from the late Republic. So liberty comes from Libertas, and Libertas was a goddess who was the wife of Bacchus. Libertas, her real name was Ariadne, and during the Roman Republic she represented the plebeian class. So basically the class of people that was fighting oppression against a more patrician class. So the Sons of Liberty and many of the early Americans who then became rebellious against the British Army and the British monarchy used these ideas of classicism, the liberty pole, and even interestingly, when the Hearts of Oak brought the cannons to what is today City Hall Park, there was a liberty pole there. I guess another part we can talk about is the green coat. You may think militia companies would just have regular clothes, and many did. But in New York City, again, there were 2 battalions, about 8 companies in each battalion, and each one had its own uniform. And we estimate about half of them wore green coats and half of them wore blue coats. And each one was a little bit different. Just like each company had its own name, they had their own variation of the uniform. So the buttons say CN with them with a crown on top. We're not 100% sure of the provenance of the buttons, but it's certainly possible that they may have been used as early as 1775. One of the rationales that we have is that the entrenching equipment used in New York City had CN on it, which we think would be City of New York. But it's a little bit unclear. We know from other paintings, there's a painting of a fusilier and a painting of a grenadier. They just have plain brass buttons. So it's, the idea of what the button looked like is not 100% known, but that's a guess that we have. What we certainly do know that they had was white breeches and white waistcoats, as well as black gaiters, which protect from rubble getting inside your shoes, of course buckle shoes, stockings, and also with garters, which hold the stockings up. Now the soldiers would typically carry a musket. They would have a bayonet and possibly sword, and also cartridge box. I don't have those on because I'm dressed as a fifer today.
Thank you so much, Eric. At this time, I would also like to introduce Eliza Lychek, who will talk about her role interpreting Eliza Schuyler Hamilton. Eliza?
Hi, my name is Eliza Lychek, and I am a member of the Hearts of Oak Independent Militia Company. I portray Eliza Hamilton for various events that the Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society puts together, and I must say it's been an honor. I've been portraying Eliza Hamilton for the past few years now, since 2017, and it has been incredible delving into biographies and pictures of her. There are so many beautiful images of her, even the ones up until her death in the 1850s. You can tell she still had her sharp wit, her intellect. Everything that Alexander loved and admired about her was always there. She is a phenomenal person, and being able to portray Eliza Hamilton at the Grange has been quite the experience. I can't thank the Society enough for trusting me to portray someone as incredibly powerful as Eliza Hamilton for their society.
The Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society has a special presentation today to thank the Hearts of Oak Independent Militia Company for their wonderful many years of being partners to the AHA Society, and also in deep appreciation of their incredible skill, both in musical performances and demonstrations, for their historical knowledge and commitment to historical accuracy, and their dedication to the memory of Alexander Hamilton. The AHA Society hereby presents this special plaque. The logo you see here has been painted on oak wood that was used to build one of the oldest houses in Southport, Connecticut in 1766. The house is at 824 Harbor Road and is the only one in the village that was not burned by the British in the Revolutionary War. The wood is from the rafters of the roof, which were replaced in August of 2020. Thus, the wood before you is from the time the Hearts of Oak was formed as a militia company in 1775. The more precise history of the Hearts of Oak can be found in the book by Michael E. Newton, Alexander Hamilton, The Formative Years, in Chapter 14, Liberty or Death. Presented by the Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society to the Hearts of Oak Independent Militia Company in appreciation for their inspired partnership in educating the public about Alexander Hamilton and the Revolutionary War era on the 246th anniversary of Hamilton joining the Hearts of Oak, May 2021. Thank you so much to both of you for being here today.
This is beautiful.
Good, I'm so glad.
Oh my God.